Right, come inside, Phil. I think we can get going on this thing.
Sure.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
All right, so we have Phil here, Mr. Sparkplug himself. He seems to approve of the shed.
It's nice.
Yeah. You like the gun in the background?
Is that a toy one or is it?
That's a real shooting gun. That's for anyone who wants to kind of skip out on the rent. Yeah, no, I'm teasing. It's actually a stock that I found in a rubbish bin. I restored that, and then the barrel is part of a crutch. No, I'm lying. The barrel is part of a pool cue, which has the right shape because it looks like it's cast and heavy. And then the flash retardant that you can see in the front, which has a couple of holes and you can't see it within on the camera, that actually is part of an aluminium crutch that I cut, and the shape is right.
Over the top.
Yeah. Then the trigger is just a nail that's been painted black. Below it is a bunch of rounds on a chain, like for a machine gun. Those came out of a charity shop. They're plastic children's bullets. Yeah, I like junk. Anyway,
looks really, really good.
So we're going to do an unboxing here, and
unboxing video,
and we're going to discuss possibly putting an extra radiator onto this machine. I know what that is. Seen a picture of those. Go and tell me what you got.
So that's your fuel tank.
Thank you.
Obviously, we don't know where we're going to mount this yet.
Yeah.
But what's nice is it's got the little holes in it, so you can either have it freestanding or it will mount to a wall. Again, it's got something in it which is normally just the tap or some sort of fixing, which is always just a pain in the neck to get out.
Pain in the hand.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's your fuel tap.
That goes at the bottom.
And gubbins, and then you've got the. Oh, they've actually drilled the hole out on this one. You see, you can tell it's a quality piece of accessory with the MaxpeedingRods, because the really cheap ones don't even bother drilling the hole out for you. So that's that.
Yeah, we'll leave it on the side table. I would say windowsill is a good place.
And that's the expensive bit,
Right.
which is the heater
The camera
itself.
down on there. So you're going to show it. Cool.
Yeah. So again, these are quite nicely built for 4 German knockoffs. For the MaxpeedingRod stuff, it's something you can feel that's decent quality ABS plastic.
Right.
It's not
quite
flimsy.
heavy as
It's
well.
not. Yeah. It's a big solid
But it's
block.
It's deceptively small, I think, compared to what I was expecting.
Yeah, the 5 kilowatts are a little bit bigger, but for a space like this, 2 kilowatts is going to be
Right, and this is quick release opening.
Yeah, so you
to
can
get in there.
Yeah, you've got just that should just unscrew or pop off in some way. There we go, and then you've just got little tabs on there, which let you get into the heart of it. So that's your glow plug. These actually come with a glow plug removal tool. It's got a split in it, so you can put it round the wire without it damaging it. That's a very common thing for people to do wrong, and
possibly you that you break
possibly.
them.
And then that's your actual sort of motherboard bit, which comes off, and you can see the electrics in there, but you shouldn't really ever need to get in there. But again, I believe these ones are a little bit better sealed and weatherproofed, so you're less likely to get condensation on
the actual motherboard.
On the actual electrics of it. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that with gloves on. But yeah, there's nothing much to it. Essentially, glow plug heats the diesel to a point where it will ignite, and then the fuel gets pumped into it, atomized and blown into the burn chamber. You've got an impeller at the front, and again you can see this has got a line on it, So these have been calibrated and balanced so that it spins freely.
Right.
I've had some of the really cheap ones.
Chunka.
Exactly that, and it's noisy as anything.
Yes.
But yeah, so that just brings in the, sucks air into it and or pulls air across, I should say, the cooling fins of the burn chamber, and that's where your hot air gets pushed out of it. So very simple, design. There's nothing complicated about them.
So that's actually the rear of the machine.
So yes, so
that's where the air gets sucked in.
That's where the air comes in, yeah.
And that's why it's got the little protective cover.
Yeah, it's to stop it sucking in mice and things.
Yeah. You'd expect.
Well, and also because it's got
clipped on properly.
Yeah, it's got a spinning blade, so it's if you put a foreign object in it, it will.
Ask me how I know this shit.
Yeah.
I think I might have poked my finger into an engine once.
Once.
Only once.
You didn't decide to do it a second time then?
No.
There we go. That's clipped on properly now. So yeah, so that's the
cool.
That's the internals of it, which again, hopefully you shouldn't need to get out, and that's your outlet. So you just clamp the well, you'll see it in a second.
Yeah.
The heating hose on it,
an exhaust and an
so
inlet.
that's a little rubber cover on the fuel line inlet, and then you've got your air intake and your exhaust, which you need to point away from each other so you're not sucking exhaust fumes into your air inlet and killing yourself. So other than that,
another box of toys. Oops.
Do you like my neat tidying up there?
I've noticed that your and my outfits look about exactly the same. I think I need to step into shot here quickly. Yeah, you can turn around this way. I didn't want your eyes.
No, you can do the rest of the...
I noticed.
Oh, the
Phil
outfits,
and I wear the same outfit. Even the colouring is good. Yep, and lots of silicon and corking on there. Silicon. Silicone.
Full instruction manual, which
proper one. It's a thick book.
It's a proper book. It's probably in 17 languages,
including Chinglish.
Yeah, but we don't need that now. You can tell it's a quality product.
Go on.
And I noticed that although I'm fully PPE'd up, you're not.
Yeah.
So
they come with gloves.
They come with gloves.
Wow. And it says MaxpeedRods.
MaxpeedingRods gloves.
That's brilliant. I love the fact that it actually says it on the book. We don't work for this company, but their name apparently is good out there.
If these are anything like the ones I had, you can donate them to a small child.
Small Chinese child. Country of origin. There you go. So yeah, they are quite small compared to my size 11s.
Yeah. So everything else in here is, and again, one of the reasons for going for the premium cheap things is that the quality of the accessories is a lot better, with the exception of this. Right. I don't know why they still provide this, and actually this isn't as bad as some that I've seen. If you feel that it's got some rigidity to it,
yeah, but it's still.
But if the hose is flexible because it's a pulse pump, the walls of the fuel line will expand.
Sure.
And essentially you end up with
and because it's minus 4 degrees Celsius outside today.
That's probably why it's so firm.
That's why it's rigid. Because I can feel already just with my hands heat, it goes soft. Cool.
This is really nice, and again, this is something you get with MaxpeedingRods that you don't with other things. Oh no, I thought there was something different in the box, but look, you've got a gold fuel pump.
It's excellent. That'll make it go faster.
That will make it go faster.
Little turbocharger.
It's an extra £5 just there. So that's that one.
That box sounded quite full. That you threw away.
Assortment of Jubilee clips, cable ties, and more importantly, the fuel pump holder.
I also have more Jubilee clips because I've heard that sometimes Jubilee clips.
These ones aren't too bad, but they're not brilliant. If they're going to be used outdoors, better ones would be better because these ones. I
have real original Jubilee clips.
Or if you have them, they would do the job.
Yeah.
So that goes around your fuel pump.
And that's the little guy that goes tick 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 tick.
Yeah, so that goes tick tick tick. That's why it's got a rubber mount.
Yes.
Because if you mounted that to the timber of the shed,
the whole shed would shake.
It would resonate, and so that does help a bit. There are lots of people who do lots of crazy things to make their fuel pumps quieter, like me. And I bought a fuel pump that cost as much as my heater.
And
it's truly silent.
That's nice. But yours is inside of your camper van.
Mine is inside of my camper van, and some people get used to the tick, 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 and it doesn't bother them.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. It's Chinese water torture for me.
I would not be able to deal with it.
I just can't do it.
It's one of the reasons why my initial thoughts on mounting this is actually to mount it outside of the little shed and not inside the shed.
I think we're going to
But
argue
we'll
a little
see
bit
what.
about that. But
Yeah, no, we're not arguing. There's no arguing. I will take your knowledge and experience.
that is your air
Intake filter.
It's not. It claims to be a filter. I don't think it. Oh, it has.
Probably a mouse filter.
Predominantly, that's what it is good for. Is it stops creatures getting in. It nominally reduces the air intake noise.
Sure.
That's never bothered me particularly. The world's biggest fuel filter, which is annoying when you're priming the pump because you've got 14 litres of diesel that need to fit in there, so it takes forever. But they're really good. You can see them. It will come apart and you can empty them if needed.
Take the mice out.
That's the same as the one I've got, and it's
It's more than good enough.
Yeah, does the job.
Ooh.
Arguably baffled silencer. It's basically straight through, but it's got if you have a look inside, there's a little spring in it.
And what does the spring do? Stop the mice from getting out.
That's the baffle.
Right.
Apparently.
Oh, I can feel the spring in there. So, look, it's all black now. He used baffle.
So with these,
and it's got a little drain, has it?
It's got a little drain hole.
Excellent.
Because that will get condensation in it. So always mount it so that it will drain. Or if you're going to fabricate another exhaust for it, so if you're going to try and recoup heat, I would potentially just not bother with that, and fabricate something that acts as a silencer that's actually got proper baffling in it, and that then becomes the hot thing inside and the exhaust gases go outside.
Okay. As an aside, let's pause you there for a minute, because this whole discussion will take a segue, and you guys need to go and Google what a segue is. But yes, we'll be stepping onto a different trail altogether in a bit, because there's a lot of talk around on the internet. Some people say do, some people say don't, but thinking of adding some kind of a heat disperser that captures all the exhaust heat. Now you think 5 minutes worth of heat isn't worth having, but if this thing's going to run for 12 hours in the shed with someone in the shed, then maybe that bit of heat will become something worth having, because also with Phil wanting to mount the pump or the actual machine inside, there's a good chance that increasing the heat that goes into the machine will increase its efficiency.
Yeah, and it's all marginal gains on efficiency, so there's nothing stopping you mounting the heater outside. It's just your heating duct, which will be the trickiest part to get out of here, of course. That's the heating duct that comes with it, so it's just a cardboard tube with some foil lining. It isn't particularly thermally efficient, so if the heater's outside, you're going to need to run that duct into the thing, and anything that's outside is heat lost to the outside. That's why, personally, if we can mount the heater inside, the advantage is on the thermal gain. The disadvantage,
I think there's space on the end of the bed down there. There's a gap where we should be able to do it.
That's plausible. The disadvantage, of course, is you've got the noise inside. So having it outside, because what you can do is just have the external portion of this insulated.
Sure.
And this will expand.
Good. I think
telescopic
we'll figure that bit out as we go along.
So that needs to be figured out. And again, a heater that size will warm the space up no problem. It doesn't need something to capture the exhaust gases to retain the heat. But if you do, it will save you a marginal amount on diesel. If you're spending £100 on a radiator, it's probably not worth it, because it'll take years of burning diesel to save £100.
I was thinking
if
of
you've
making
got bits, if you've got bits of scrap and you're going to play around welding something, why not? It doesn't need it. It will be marginally better with it.
I think, just to put into perspective for anyone who is possibly still watching and not gone to sleep and making a cup of tea, the rough floor area of the shed is about 8 square meters, which means that at 2 meters of wall height, you're looking at 16 cubic meters. If you then add in the pitch of the roof, you've probably got another 3 or 4 square meters. So I would top this out at 25 cubic meters maximum.
Yeah.
As a shed,
and it's well insulated.
It's well insulated with 75 mil of polystyrene on all sides, roof, walls, and I think the floor has 45 under timber and polyethylene plastic on top of a concrete floor. So in the greater scheme of things,
bottom line is it's a little bit larger than my van, but it's got a lot more insulation.
Sure.
So it will probably take a little bit longer to heat up, but it will then retain the heat better.
But you can do that before you come into the room, or you set a timer.
Absolutely, you can. So yeah, that's your air inlet pipe. That just fastens to. I have to remember which way around these go, but that just fastens onto
with the Jubilee clip.
One of those or one of those with the Jubilee clip.
Yeah.
Then you've got the exhaust. And again, these you would typically, you can see it's got tape on it because the edges of these
are super sharp.
And no matter how carefully you try and cut them, you will end up with super sharp edges. Don't ask me how I know that.
You only got 3 fingers left on the one hand.
But yeah, so that goes on the other side of that. And typically you would cut this at some point in its length and insert the silencer into it.
Right. I see a lot of people just put the silencer at the end.
You can just put the silencer on the end, as long as you don't need to duct the pipe out any further. With mine on the van, what I've got is, the silencer's mounted under one of the ridges, and then I've got a bit of extra pipe coming off, just so as I can direct the exhaust gases so they don't pool under the van.
And don't, pooling is a big thing.
Yeah. So that's something, I don't particularly want to have. Here, again, we'll figure out whether it needs that or not. You've then got other various nice little things which you may or may not want to use. You've got the T-splitter.
Yeah.
So if you wanted the heat pointing in different directions, again, the space this small, it's arguable whether you need it, but it's an option that they give you. So you can have one that comes under the bed and one that goes into the bathroom area, so that you've got even heat distribution.
The bathroom area you're talking about is obviously this incredible, we'll point it out very briefly,
the high-tech urinal.
The high-tech urinal, which is hidden there behind a surfboard, which is on a hinge. You see, for a bit of privacy, we've got cardboard moving about there, but that used to be a compressor. Reservoir tank, obviously the video is elsewhere on my channel. And then you have a hand wash basin made out of a wok. You'll see you've got an offset waste, and then the water moves from here into the urinal through a Bluetooth connection. Ask Dennis Jones in Missouri about that. There's a Bluetooth connection which runs the water across, flushes that, and there is a underground on the other side of that wall. There is an underground waste, shall I call it a waste tank or a waste soak away, that was properly and professionally built like you learn in the military. There you go.
You also get these
those are very pretty.
You get these, not only very pretty, but they're quite clever in that you've got the bit that attaches to the hose.
Yes.
But the directional piece, you can rotate freely.
That's really, really nice.
Which is
I like that.
More useful than anything. Again, because they've got the splitter, they give you 2 of those, so you can have those.
One on your feet and one on your bollocks.
Again, decent quality braided, protected
like
wiring loom. Comes with all the crimped connectors on there. Again, properly heat shrunk. This is why you pay 20 quid more for a decent heater, because otherwise you've got one of these, you end up putting crimped connections on, you end up putting your own heat shrink on. Same with the fasteners. You end up, and by the time you've upgraded all the crap stuff, you've spent more than buying a decent quality heater in the first place.
I like that.
So that's all pretty good. You get your...
I'm still waiting for you to surprise me with some croissants or something at the bottom of the box.
So that's the heater mounting plate. Again, normally if you're mounting it to a vehicle,
right,
or potentially if you're mounting it to a wall, that would be like an act as a heat plate. But that will normally you
nice thickness as well.
Yeah, yes, it's a decent piece of stainless or possibly galv.
It's probably galvanized.
Yeah, this one looks like it's galv. And basically what it means is you don't have to. So when my first install I did on the Sprinter, I measured, because I didn't have a template, I measured all of these holes and their positions. I drilled out a piece of wood to do a test fit to make sure it fitted perfectly, and I drilled that exact pattern out at the bottom of the van so that it was a completely snug fit and blah blah blah. Now they give you a plate.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is cut a hole that's kind of big enough for these, or you can get them with they weld a ring onto it.
Yes. So it's a spacer.
So you basically then just get a hole saw, cut out a big round hole, drop that in, seal it because you don't want any gases coming back in. But that then just sits directly over there. I mean, I have to remove that. Yeah, it is the other way around, and it's got the fuel liney bit there. But essentially, that's that. So that's again a nice thing to include. We're getting to the last of the exciting bits. Your standpipe pickup, which is only bent because it's bent, but that will go into your fuel container.
Gotcha. Cut
to the right height so that it's will pick up fuel from the fuel container. Gotcha. Again, if you're going to use a different container,
it's a toss-up at the moment between a 20-litre jerry can and that, or even joining the two together. You can
join the two together quite easily. No idea. Oh yes, that
remote.
No, so that's the there is the remote. It should have a remote.
You might have left it at home in Cambridge.
No, I didn't take anything out of the box. It will be part of this. So that's the screen.
You like something sharp? I can get my ex-wife's tongue. That was pretty sharp. Give me that. I've got teeth.
This annoys me. So that is a bit of wrap to go around the exhaust.
Yes.
It annoys me because in my bag of things. So that's what comes with the kit. So that,
right.
Teeth work.
Bing.
So that's your screen.
Control screen.
Which, will have all of the functions and the
for controlling and setting.
Switching on and off the heater, and it comes with a nice little remote. These are quite nice because it's got a little slide tab on it, so you can't accidentally press the buttons if you've got it in a pocket. You can
clever
slide it
thinking.
Out of the way, and it's just on, off, and temperature up and down.
Right.
But that's great if you're in bed and it's too hot, because quite often with these they just carry on going. So you don't have to get up and find the screen to, you can just switch it on or off, because it can be conversely, it can be in the night, and it was fine when you went to bed, but it's clear skies like we've had at the moment. It gets chilly, you can just turn the heater on without having to climb out of a nice warm blanket.
Very good.
So that's what comes with it. Having done a few of these before,
this is all worth £107 delivered off eBay. That is just, it was marked down from about 130. So this is a mid-range, which already was on a good price. So I think in total, which included also a power source, which Phil ordered, which is somewhere hidden.
It's somewhere, I don't know where that is, to be honest.
Could be in
that box. Okay. We'll get to that.
It was £132 and 32p.
Something like that. Because I've done this before, I got a spare standpipe, which is a bit short for that.
Sure.
But you could attach a bit of this fuel line to the bottom of it to make it
reach.
Because it doesn't matter at that point. So if you wanted to install this in there for now, and then keep the longer one if you wanted to have a longer thing in future or whatever, that's an option. Very important. Carbon monoxide alarm.
Now, all the health and safety Nazis are going to be so happy that Phil brought a spare of these.
So this is because for the van, so this was in my van, but for the van I managed to buy a system second-hand at a very good price that works with the Wi-Fi. It powers directly off the 12 volts as well as having its own battery. So I don't have to remember to change the batteries, because I'm rubbish at it. And the problem with these is if it's in the van when the battery goes low, yes, it will beep at you to tell you change the batteries. But if I'm not in the van when it's beeping, I won't know that.
and it will work perfectly not when you gas yourself at 3 in the morning.
It's just an extra safety thing.
Yeah.
For me, because I know I'm rubbish at changing batteries or remembering or thinking of should I check the batteries.
I always think
So
waking
that's
up.
why I've upgraded it.
Yeah, I always think waking up dead is a really unpleasant option.
I've only done it once. So it's got a little wall mounting plate. Again, these need to be mounted low down because carbon monoxide falls.
I've just learned something because I wasn't aware of it. I would have stuck it on the roof right up next to the
well, that's
weather
what you do.
vane.
So with smoke, it rises. With gas, it falls.
Gotcha.
It's
Thanks.
denser
That's a
than
really
air.
important thing
So
to
that's an
remember.
important thing to remember. We also, because we're sad like that, have a carbon monoxide monitor.
Yes.
So once this is all set up, I will see what we're getting out the back end.
Check the whole channel.
The reason I've got this is because I've got a completely silent fuel pump that has a little control knob on it so that you can adjust the rate of flow, which means that if you're traveling at altitude, you need a different flow rate or sort of air to fuel mixture. And by measuring the carbon monoxide that's coming out, you can adjust it to get to the right ppm for that.
Yeah.
So that's because I'm a nerd.
Not at all.
But we'll see what's coming out of this and just make sure it's within range. So you don't get to keep that. That's mine.
All right. That's why it's gone back in your
Gone
pocket.
straight back in the pocket. We then have a whole load of other stuff. So I've got other rings for
Various mounting rings.
Stuff. More importantly, I have some
Better quality.
decent rigid
I can hear how
nylon
rigid it is. Yes.
fuel line. So you can see that isn't like a vehicle fuel line. It's a really narrow.
What I have when I built that Jeep is about 4, 5, 6, 7 times that.
So it actually, and that's partly because these things use so little fuel. You don't need a lot. I've got all manner of, how's that? Oh, that's a bit of electrical cable, which might be useful if we need to extend things. We've got more clips and brackets and
T-junctions and fuel line
junctions and all sorts of that sort of thing. So we can play around and experiment with that. This we're going to use instead of that, because that is a wrap. It comes with a stainless steel cable tie, which is lovely. This is a sleeve.
Gotcha.
So we'll just sleeve this over the exhaust.
Did you purchase that, or was that left over from a previous build?
I purchased this because where my exhaust runs in the van, it goes between a heat shield and the panel of the van. And I installed it and then realised I hadn't insulated it. And I thought, that's not clever. I'll have to take it out and put some heat shield on it. So I bought this all the way from China for maybe £1. And then I dismantled everything to put the heat shield on and realised that I had the wrap and that I had put it on, that I'd forgotten that I'd done that. So this then became surplus.
Belt and braces sometimes just too much.
So that will be more convenient to use. I'm not going to use it again, so
that's wonderful.
Might as well put
Thank
it on
you.
Here. And if we really want to, we can
We'll
double
add it
wrap
to my bill.
So that's that, and again, more clips, hoses. Look familiar?
Yes, I like that. And especially the fact that you can make them directional.
Yeah, and the
Selection of clips.
Actually, I haven't mounted those yet, so I need to keep those, don't I? Because I haven't done that bit of the install on mine. So that sort of thing, I can't remember what's in here. What was in here?
A lot of plastic packets.
These are like wall mounting screw type things from, again, just fasteners that were in that box.
Shall I pick up the rest that you've got?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like an old man here, stiff as hell. Thanks to the cold. This cold doesn't do any of us any good, or most of us at least, unless you're a penguin.
This is the other part of the purchase, which is your...
That's the part that you didn't order the right one and then you fixed it.
No, I ordered the right one. Except I assumed that it had a standard so it's a 240 to 12 or 24 volt converter. I assumed it had a standard kettle plug type connector, which it doesn't. So what it has is just terminals. So this is your 240 side, and then you've got 3 positive and negative, so you can have
Gotcha.
3 12-volt supplies out of here. So again, if you wanted to put a 12-volt, like a USB socket
or a vibrator.
Do they
I mean,
work off 12
like
volts?
a massage thing. You never know who's in this room.
So this has been properly crimped,
I
heat
see
shrunk,
that.
brand new plug.
Thank you.
It doesn't have a switch in it because I didn't know where it was going.
It will probably
So-
go just under your left-hand elbow, or it can live up on the shelf here, completely out of sight.
Yeah. Now I
But
discovered that it's got a fan in it which comes on automatically.
Right.
So
I think that fan is subtle enough that if it's hidden under the bed or somewhere
to
outside.
be honest, when the heat is going, it's going to be noisier than that.
Right.
But you will want to switch on it because you don't want to leave that on permanently.
Okay.
Um,
I might have a switch or two
So-
hidden somewhere in the garage. We'll go and have a dig.
but that's tested and working. I've had a multimeter on it, so I've put it just slightly over the 12 volts. So that should power the heater, because if they don't have sufficient voltage, they've got an under voltage cut-off protection.
Gotcha.
So we'll test that, but it's got a little potentiometer on it, so we can adjust that as needed. And that's fundamentally
it.
other than figuring out where to put it and putting it there.
whether we build another radiator for the exhaust pipe.
And again, that's something that can be done today or another day or never, as the wind.
We'll discuss that, because I think the heater itself will give enough heat for this room. I'm the guy that normally scrapes out the bottom of the bottle, that uses the butter wrapper to butter the pans in which I'm baking.
Yeah.
The toilet roll holder, yep, that goes in the bin unless there's a child who needs to make Father Christmas out of it. But in essence,
I keep those as firelighters.
there we go.
Stuff them with newspaper.
And a bit of paraffin, and you'd be really in a good
Doesn't
place.
need the paraffin
Sure.
because it just holds it together nicely enough. It lights it. Put your kindling on top. Pine cones is the other one. Collect a pine cone, free kindling. Don't have to sit there with a hatchet.
While we're talking about that, a really good friend in South Africa, who now lives in Australia, I think, used to collect all the tea bags and hang them out on the washing line. Now, I did that with my first wife because she wouldn't clean the teapot out. However, that's a different story. He would dry his tea bags, put them into a coffee jar, toss in some paraffin to soak the tea bags, and his tea bags were his free of charge firelighters for a barbecue on a Friday night. So there's another good idea that's just come out of nowhere, out of the left field. So I think at this point we will stop the movie
Figure out
and
where
figure out what we're going to do, and then we'll probably add some bits and pieces of both photographs and maybe some filming as Phil rips his arms open and whatever else. But thank you very much, Phil, for coming down to do this
pleasure.
install. This is wonderful.
Pleasure.
I don't know if you call this a collaboration or just
I call this insanity. That's what I call it.
fitting shit at -4 degrees. In fact, it was -5 degrees in my car this
It
morning.
was -6 when I left. It was -3 when I hit London, and then it was -5 when I got here.
That's right. So yeah, you're looking at -5
Noticeably
degrees.
warmer.
It's about 26 degrees Fahrenheit, I think. I don't speak American very well, but yeah, I think it's 26 Fahrenheit or maybe even 25,
It's
something like that.
cold.
It is, yeah. And we out here playing in the cold. So let's carry on. Thanks, Phil.
Good stuff.
Testing, testing, testing. Let's see how long this room takes to come up to temperature. Exhaust, diesel, and obviously heater inside.